Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. This week we're getting physical with the Police Athletic League's Fight Night, and we're going to talk about free yoga in some Kingston parks. Here to talk about that and more is the Kingston Land Trust's Rebecca Martin. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Jimmy.
Now, you guys, the Kingston Land Trust, seem to be everywhere. Every time I open up the Daily Freeman, you're suggesting something or supporting something, and equally, you're getting a lot of support too from the new mayor, Shane Gallo. There's a lot of momentum, it feels like. Are you guys feeling that there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we, I think at this point, we're 2 years in my position as executive director, and we've built a lot of good, diverse programming that appeals to many people in the community. But it's wonderful to have the city support, and it's fun to work with the city too.
When you started the Kingston Land Trust, or when it started a couple of years ago, did you envision getting to this point, in the longevity of the organization, getting here so quickly?
I wasn't really thinking in those terms. In fact, my job initially was only for 3 months. So this has been a really great experience for all of us who have been working with the organization, and I'm really pleased. It's giving me a chance to work with a lot of professionals who I'm learning a ton, and I think we're providing a really big service for the community.
And in fact, one of your members got hired by the city.
I know. Greg Swansea was just hired by Shane Gallo to come in and represent the Economic Development Department, and his title, appropriately, is Economic Development Director and Strategic Partnerships, which is something that Greg is wonderful with, and I've loved working with him as part of the Rail Trail Committee.
So what is coming back this season for the Kingston Land Trust? Dig Kids is coming back, some urban farming. Can you tell us about those programs?
Sure, we have many committees that have really gotten underway in the last year. We have a Rail Trail Committee that has now broken off into 3 different subcommittees. There are 28 members of the Rail Trail Committee, and they're working very hard to realize this Midtown hub concept of rail trails, and it's a privilege to work with this group. We also have an Urban Agriculture Committee, a group of wonderful citizens, farmers, gardeners who are preparing to work with the city to update farm code. That's going to really help clarify what's allowed, what isn't, and help urban farming to expand in the city. And
I just want to stop for a moment on that point, because that there's farm code in Kingston today, might seem odd to someone who looks around and all I see is concrete. I know you see some open space, and there is open space, but that farm code must go back to when agriculture was a daily aspect for most people in Kingston.
Yes, it's true. And when that code was actually created, I'm not certain, but it definitely doesn't reflect what's happening now. And as we were talking earlier, as it's written, it's pretty vague. So anyone's perspective of it really could it would be difficult to argue, because there's so much that's not clear. But Kingston, we're in the center of a major agricultural hub, and there was a lot of farming in Kingston, back in its time.
What would you like to see happen with the farm code? Are there things that you want to see codified that allow a certain amount or type of farming in the city limits?
Well, as an urban area, I would like to be able to come up to date with what other parts of the country are doing. Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Detroit, Michigan have wonderful updated farm codes, and I would like to see a really good process take place to help to create opportunities for citizens to be able to do more of it while protecting the interests of our neighbors, of the animals, and what have you, really clarifying all of that. Because what people need to realize is that there is code, which means that if there are issues, it's already there. So how can we improve it? And that's what we're looking to do.
Terrific. You're also bringing yoga into city parks, free yoga.
Yes.
That's great.
And we have tremendous partners, one of which you're about to meet.
Which we'll do when we come back.
Yes.
You're watching Kingston Now. More in a moment. Welcome back to Kingston Now. And joining us again is Rebecca Martin of the Kingston Land Trust and Linda Lalita Winnick from Shakti Yoga. Hi. Linda, Shakti Yoga has 4 locations now?
We have 4 locations, 3 under the Shakti name and 1 that we just started. I partnered up with Barbara Boris, and it's called Woodstock Yoga, downtown Shakti, right on Deming Street, formerly known as Bliss.
Locations?
My main headquarters is on Sauk Hill Road in Woodstock. I have a Shakti Sanctuary studio, which is all $5 classes on Partition Street in Saugerties. And then I also have a partnership with Mac Fitness on 9W, and that's Shakti at the Mac.
Terrific. Now, for people who've heard the word yoga and they know it means something involving the body, give us a more detailed description.
So these studios focus on what is known as asana, which are the postures. So at all of our locations, we have a variety of different levels. So that's what usually guides how the practice is taught. Some classes are slower paced, which are the lower level classes. Some classes are more flowing and quote unquote more athletic feeling. And so those are the higher level classes. So that's usually, then we focus on breathing and some philosophy, and also just getting people connected with themselves and what their spiritual practices are, if that's something that interests them.
So how did it come to pass, Rebecca, that you wanted to do yoga in city parks? Well,
one of our board members wanted to see that happen. Shakti is one of the yoga studios that I'm most familiar with, not only because I've been taking classes from one of her teachers, but because she has such a presence in the area. And with Linda's help, I got the program off the ground with her generosity last year, and the partnerships that we had with Mac Fitness and the City of Kingston Park and Recreation. We were able to do it once a month in Cornell Park. So Linda really helped me to launch this whole thing. And this year we've expanded. We're including Mudita Yoga, who practices in Kingston. And they came on board late in the season last year. And it was terrific because we could program an additional park. So Shakti has taken over Cornell Park this season. Mudita is in Academy Green, and it's every week now. And we're starting on Memorial Day weekend, which is May 26th, is the first Saturday, where Mudita will practice in Academy Green. And Sundays, the 27th, it begins in Cornell Park with Shakti through Labor Day weekend. So it's a big change this season. We're really growing the program.
I have this great visual, like you've seen in other countries where they practice Tai Chi outside in parks, and there's these large groups of people moving in unison. Is that what the experience is like, Linda?
Yeah, it was really exciting last year. For one thing, I really love this park. It's right on Wirtz, right in the roundabout. And I have an affinity for that park, because when I first moved to Kingston, I lived around the corner on Hone Street. And my dog and my son, who was really young at the time, we were the only ones in that park. And I believe there used to be something for him to play on, because it's pretty sparse at this point. So I actually love that park because, again, you have a beautiful view of the Sopus Creek, and you're almost kind of perched, particularly where we're practicing, a little bit high up. So, but we had a pretty overwhelming response, and partial of the population were my students, but also a good half of them were from people who just live in the neighborhood or heard about it. And it's a bunch of people, anything kind of goes, all sorts of personalities that shine and show up. They come and we provide a yoga mat. We usually ask people to bring them, and all sorts of levels of ability, and it's a trip. The church bells go off at the beginning of class and at the end of class because it's an hour long, and it's really like a real special Sunday in that park.
It sounds like another great year for the program.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Thanks, Rebecca, for coming. Thanks, Linda, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
This is Kingston Now, and next we're going to head to the fights with the Police Athletic League's Fight Nights. You're watching Kingston Now. We'll be back in a minute. You're watching Kingston Now. And on Saturday, May 12th, the Police Athletic League is sponsoring Fight Night at the Midtown Center Billy Costello Gymnasium. And here with us now are two guys responsible for the event, Al Nace and Tom Gordon. Hi, guys.
Hey, Jimmy. How are you?
Now, Tom, you have a business in Kingston, Kingston Nissan.
Yes, I'm from Kingston Nissan. We've been supporting the PAL for a number of years in the boxing program and the youth organization.
So how did you get involved with this?
You know, it's funny. I became friends with Bill Costello years ago and Al Nace, and we found that there was a need for support for the organization, the Police Athletic League, which basically myself, I'm just one of the supporters. I'm in the organization, but more than anything, I'm a promoter for the organization. That's how I got involved with it, through Bill Costello and Al Nace.
And Al, you and Billy Costello, the late great champ, were friends.
Absolutely, great friends. Yeah.
And so is that how you got involved in boxing and how you got involved with this event?
Well, I played around with boxing when I was young, and I wasn't very good. We didn't have trainers, we didn't have coaches that really knew what they were doing. They were football coaches or something. So years later, you know, like 30 years later, and I knew Billy and his brother Vinny, and they were both great boxers. Billy was a world champion. And I had shoulder surgery, and I was talking with Billy, and Billy thought that boxing was a fix-all for most things. So he had me working on the shoulder movement. And so I did that, and it actually helped my shoulder, helped strengthen the shoulder. And so I was boxing with Billy for, I don't know, a year or so. And then I had some involvement in the community, and I would bring Billy out because Billy was very shy. Although he was loud and all that, he was really a very, pretty shy guy. And we would bring him to Fitness Unlimited and have him start teaching classes there. He and I would do classes there. And I would get the jobs, and then Billy would do most of the teaching because he was the expert. And he called it the Billy Costello School of Boxing. And that's pretty much the format that we follow today. We teach that style of boxing. Of course, kids go on and do all different styles. Everybody doesn't do it the same. But that's how I ended up getting involved in the PAL, was as a member joining it.
You know, it's one thing to be a world champion athlete, but it's another thing to be a world champion person as well. And that has always been my experience with any kind of dealings I had with Billy back when he was promoting these great things for kids. And it's really important for kids to have an outlet like the Police Athletic League and boxing. What's been your experience in seeing kids come into the program?
Most come in, they learn about it, they get the exercise, they get to meet people and develop friendships and learn some discipline, and they go on with their life. From the Police Athletic League, we want to build strength in the communities, and we want the kids to see opportunities to do things that may not be so apparent. So rather than hanging on the street, hanging out on the block, they come to the gym and they get their workout on, and they work with kids and adults that they might never interact with otherwise.
And that's a lot of it too. A lot of it's like some of the adults in the program, myself included, are almost mentoring to a lot of the youth. It's not just the program's really for the youth, okay? But there's a lot of adults that go down to just physically train, okay? It's no charge for the youth, for the organization. The adults kind of,
they don't get charged either.
We donate is what we do.
Yeah.
When you go down and you just train, you hit the pads, you do different things, and it's at your own level, but yet you're pushed to where you can go with it. But the main thing is like you said, for the community. Kids need to have a purpose. They need to have a place to go. As an outlet.
Well, if you give a kid
is.
something to do, they may just do it. But if you leave them to their own devices,
they may do something
other. Right, exactly. It could lead to some trouble.
Yeah.
One of the great things too, Tom, about you, and I hope I don't embarrass you with this, but you're a great supporter of a lot of causes in and around the Kingston area. But this one seems particularly close to your heart. How come that is?
Well, again, Billy was a good friend of mine, and as is Al and Chris and a lot of the guys at the gym. The main thing is, this is our community. If we don't support it and we don't take care of it, and our youth, which is our future, that's what it's all about. We're a very big promoter for community. Whether it's the Boy Scouts, the little leagues and all the different, organizations. It's all important. The boxing just seems to be closer to me because of Billy and Al, basically. But we do a lot of stuff.
And fight night is fun at the
Yes.
Midtown Center.
It's a blast.
Right? So you've got a ring announcer, you've got a lot of excitement, you've got card people, card girls, right? A lot of good things happening that night.
What a blast. Everybody that comes I see people walking out of that gym saying, I can't wait for the next fight. It's good.
Cool. Well, we're going to meet one of the fighters who's going to be fighting on May 12th in just a moment and talk more about what actually happens that night. Stay with us, okay? This is Kingston Now, and we're going to meet Raphael Edwards. He's going to be fighting at the PAL Fight Night in Kingston in a couple weeks. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Kingston Now. With us again is Al Nace of the PAL and Raphael Edwards, one of his fighters, who's going to be fighting on May 12th at the Midtown Center in Kingston. Raphael, have you ever had an official bout?
Yes, I have.
Yeah?
I had 2 of them already. Won one and lost one, so I experienced both sides of the fight. So it's winning and losing. It's pretty intense. It's like way worse in the gym, but it's intense a lot.
Now, you've been fighting for what, about 4 months?
Yeah, 4 months.
How'd you get into this program?
I had a lot of stress and everything, and people were directing me to the places of where I could relieve it and get into a good direction. And somebody pointed me in the way of the PAL, and I went there, and everything just started going my way.
So it's working.
Yeah.
That's great. What are the workouts like? What's the training like?
The workouts are.
Al's laughing because you design the workouts, right?
Right. Paul Telescu is one of our trainers, does the conditioning part with him, and he's over the top.
Had you ever done anything that hard?
No, I have not. But after you do them, you feel a lot better. The first time you do it, you don't want to come back.
What brought you back after the first time if it was so hard? Why'd you say, you know what, I'll give this another shot?
I was actually, it kept me out of doing a lot of bad things, and gave me something to do, showed me I had talent.
What is the training regimen for fighters like Raphael, Al?
Well, on his level, he's learned all the basics. People forget the basics. We have to always go back to them, but he has them down. So Ralph would come into the gym. He'd have to loosen up, do some warm-ups. Paul will have him do some conditioning. So he might do some running.
Suicides and stuff.
What do you call suicide? Yeah. He designed some
that doesn't
programs.
sound so great.
No, they're not. It's not suicidal. Some exercises to get his body warmed up and burning, and then he does shadow boxing, a couple of rounds of shadow boxing. He might hit the heavy bag, or we have focus mitts where the boxer puts the gloves on. One of the coaches hold the mitts, and we either call out punches or we have series of punches that they put together, combinations. Or sparring. We bring in people from our gym that spar each other and from other gyms that come.
So let's talk about fight night itself. How many people are on the card?
Well, you don't know. This is amateur, so you don't know. Right now we have 50 or 60 boxers who are coming from a variety of places. We have, from our gym, we have Ralph, Frank Grillo, who's a 15-year-old, 175-pounder, spectacular.
Yes.
And another young man, Sam Caprati, who wants to have his first bout. But there's other local people that aren't necessarily from our gym that come to our gym, and Paul Maley and Jonando Dawkins. They're going to have their first bout, and or unless they have one before then. There's a match this weekend in Upstate. And they're all really good. They're all really good. They're nice young men, and they're really good. We have a couple of women that are also preparing for it. Jessica Kalukas, Alyssa Gogaridis, who are from our gym. And there's an 11-year-old girl from Lorenzo's out in Accord or Warsing.
She's good.
And 110-pound, 11 years old, and she is tremendous. So there's a slew of people, and we have gyms coming from Albany and Utica, Standing Rock, which is the reservation up in Messina, Newburgh.
And we want the public to come out and support this. There's an admission fee, but we want people to come and support the PAL because it gives people like Raphael a chance to come in and box for free, basically.
It does, and what happens is the funds come in, and it allows the PAL to operate. The mayor of Kingston, Mayor Gallo, and Mayor Satile before him, gives us the space, lets us have the space, doesn't cost the city anything to provide the service. And the rec department, Kevin Gilfeather, Rob Dassey, and them. So we're able to do that without any fee to the city and any fee to the kids. And we have to raise money to buy the equipment and to take them to matches and to pay the expenses for registration. And we do that through the events and through sponsorships.
And there's going to be a little star power too. Ronaldo Snipes is going to come out for the fights.
Ronaldo Snipes, who are two of our main coaches, Chris Mastasero and Paul Teleska, are there every day. And Paul is a former pro who was a sparring partner for Snipes and Carl Truth Williams. And so Ronaldo comes to our events, and it's to support us. It's really great.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Al.
Thank
and
you.
good luck, Raphael.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's show. Our thanks to Rebecca Martin of the Kingston Land Trust and Linda Lalita Winnick of Shakti Yoga. To find out about free yoga in the park, go to kingstonlandtrust.org. Thanks to Al Nace, Tom Gordon, and Raphael Edwards, too. To find out more about PAL Fight Night, go to kingstonpal.com. And remember, all our shows are now archived on our YouTube channel, and you can find a link on our Facebook page. You can also suggest topics for future shows on Facebook. For Kingston Now, I'm Jimmy Buff. We'll see you next time.